All right, motherfuckers, I'm back up in this bitch. The good thing about this video is that since I'm making it right after the Raw review video, that I have no new subscribers during that time, so we're not going to be spending time talking about that. Now, of course, don't get me wrong. I love talking about my new subscribers and giving shout-outs. Hell, if you want a shout-out, just ask for one. I'll give you one anyways, motherfuckers. But definitely for my new subscribers. But, you know, I know that it does take away from the flow of the video sometimes, but nonetheless, let's move on to this video, which will be much more high energy than the last one, motherfuckers. All right, so we're going to talk about a couple of things. Before we start talking about the real thing here, AEW, you know what I mean? We're going to talk a little bit about Lars Henry and the Lars Henry situation. Now, for those of you that have been living under a cuck, you know what I'm saying? And don't know this, Lars Henry, sorry, Lars Henry. Lars Sullivan, he like a few years ago or whatever, like back in the day before he was in WWE, he made some homophobic and racist comments on like bodybuildingforum.com or some sort of website like that, you know what I mean? And I don't exactly know what they were. I don't really give a rat's ass, if I'm being honest. You should be able to say whatever the fuck you want, and people honestly shouldn't be able to hold it against you if you said something on the internet. Big fucking deal, man. Like, all I care about is how you treat people, not how you talk about them. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. You know, he probably shouldn't say it, considering his job is a public job with WWE. Oh, I mean, obviously he didn't have that job when he said it, but you know what I mean, right? But anyways, people kind of forgot about it. Lars Henry came back. And I never, Lars Sullivan, sorry, Lars Henry, my bad, motherfucker. Lars Sullivan, he came back, and I personally never liked this guy, right? It has nothing to do with like his comments. It has nothing to do with the fact that like what I'm gonna say right now. But to me, he has Ezekiel Jackson or Vladimir Kozlov written all over him. This guy's going nowhere, man. You know, if anything, everything that happened could be spun as a positive if you want to give him like a gimmick that incorporates this, right? Now, what happened recently was some website or some like dirt sheet or something, whatever, right? They announced that they have footage of Lars Henry participating in a gay porno, motherfuckers, gay porno. Now, the question that I had, and I didn't delve too deep into this, primarily because I couldn't give a rat's ass about Lars Sullivan, but the question is Lars Sullivan taking it up the ass or is he giving it up the ass? Now, that changes very, very little, of course, but it's just interesting to see like such a big guy, like he's a powerful guy, like just taking it up the ass. Like it doesn't make any sense to me, but hey, you know, it's almost 2020, motherfuckers. We gotta get on board. So anyways, apparently this video was like, was not leaked. It was there all along, I guess, but like people connected the dots, and like all I've seen is like a picture, right, on an article. There was like a guy that looks like Lars Sullivan and some other guy, and in this picture, Lars Sullivan has hair and doesn't have a beard, so he looks like much better as a human being than he does now, where he's like this mangled looking, weird face guy, right? So, like the whole thing with this is people are like turning on him, right? Now, here's the thing, right? A lot of times, the way that I speak about things, people have in the past accused me of disliking gay people, right? And here's the reason why that's relevant. In my opinion, disliking someone, right? Discriminating against someone, these things are things that would manifest themselves in some sort of action, whether it be positive or negative, in how that person is treated. Now, of course, I don't know Lars Sullivan personally, right? But I can tell you this, right? I don't care if someone's like black, gay, lesbian, Chinese, Taiwanese. I don't care at all. It really doesn't matter to me, right? And this manifests itself with me treating these people the same way I treat everyone else, right? The same way I treat white men or white women. White men is the better comparison because I am a white man. So, like, to me, the real form of racism and hate is not saying like, oh, what a weirdo, or I don't like that he's doing this, or he's going to go to hell, which is like what, you know, all these Christian groups and people are saying. That's not real hatred. Like, it's not real discrimination. Now, of course, if that's coupled with like, get out of my restaurant, that's fucked up, right? But the real, like, bad thing that you can do in treating gay people, but basically anyone that's not you, right? The worst thing you can do is to condescend to them and treat them differently because they are that way. So, for example, if like to prove to yourself that you're not a racist, or to prove to the people around you that you're not a racist, even though you damn well know you're not, right? You might be inclined to treat someone who's a minority, let's say, better, right? Just because like, oh, like they have it hard, the world is like stacked against them, you know? Or like I said, like a few videos ago, right? Like when I talked about Marinallo, where it's like, oh, he's got bipolar, oh, I gotta like be careful. No. Being careful is disrespectful, right? What you should do is treat them the same way you would treat anyone else. Because the fact that someone is black or gay or white or a woman, right, has no bearing on who they are fundamentally, right? They're either a good person or a bad person. So if someone is black and they treat me like shit, I'm gonna treat them like shit. I'm not gonna run it through my head and be like, oh, okay, but he's black, so like society has held him down, so I'm gonna tolerate this. If I treat you well, I expect to be treated well. If I treat you like shit, you can treat me like shit. That's totally fine. I won't even hate you for it. You know, I can tell you guys millions of stories of me driving and people cutting me off and me losing my fucking mind. And then like I pull up next to the person and they're like, yo, I'm sorry. It happened with this Ethiopian guy. He cut me off violently, right? I can tell Ethiopia. I know a lot of Ethiopians. I can tell them apart. He cut me off violently, like on the highway. And I lost my mind. I was like, I wouldn't say I was chasing after him, but I was just furious, right? And I caught up to him eventually because the traffic on his lane was going slow. And I just like yelled out my window. I'm like, you piece of shit, you motherfucker, all this stuff, right? And I was I was still mad. Like I yelled at him, but I was still angry, right? Because like he cut me off very violently. Like he almost caused a car accident, right? And then I kept driving, right? The guy switches lanes, comes into my lane. So I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, please follow me so I can like destroy you, so I can like break your neck, right? He drives parallel to me, pulls down his window and says, hey, I'm sorry, man. And immediately I'm like, oh, no worries, dog. That's all I want, man. If you fuck up, say you're sorry, you know? I don't even care about the sorry part. Just accept your guilt. Accept the mistake you made, right? And I would treat this guy the same way, right? If he was any kind of person. And the same courtesy would be given to any kind of person. If you wrong me and you understand that what you did was wrong, that's fine, man. We can go back to being friends. I would even be friends with that guy. Like right after that, I was totally cool. Like all my anger went away, right? But there are people out there that they see someone, right? And they're like, oh, like let's just say Lars Sullivan is gay. Like we don't even know if he's gay, right? He did a gay porno. I mean, you know, he's probably gay. Let's be honest, right? But like they see him and they're like, oh, poor Lars. Like he was hiding his closet homosexuality by like saying all these homophobic things. No. Those are two separate events. He made homophobic comments, and if you don't like those comments, the fact that he now turned out to be gay changes nothing, right? Do not condescend gay people by being like, oh, it's okay if you do it. No. Everyone should be treated the same. That's what one of my life heroes, Martin Luther King Jr. said, motherfuckers. He said, I have a dream, motherfuckers. He said, I have a dream that one day people will be judged by the content of their character and not the color of their skin. And we can extrapolate this to involve things like sexual orientation, disabilities, whatever, anything, right? The fundamental principle there is not like, oh, please love me. No, the principle there is this. Please judge me for who I am, right? Don't mistreat me because I look different than you. But at the same time, don't give me brownie points because I'm different than you, right? Don't do that either. That is not equality. That is a step backwards, in my opinion. Because then what happens is we find ourselves in a society where half the people are like, oh, poor Lars, right? And these people that pretend they're good, like I'm on my YouTube, I'm going to just say it. Some guy, I think I've seen some of his videos, WrestleLania or WrestleLamia, whatever, right? He appears on my recommended feed along with Beyond Scared Straight, motherfuckers, right? And like his tagline is WWE superstar Lars Sullivan's shock past leaked. And then on the thumbnail, it's a gay adult film star, right? Like, get the fuck out of here, you know? You don't need to like basically take advantage of the fact that this is happening to someone, right? Where something that this guy probably wanted to keep secret, right? It has now been ousted, right? That you're taking advantage of this kind of shit, right? You're saying like, oh, look, a gay guy, right? How about leave him be? Leave him alone, man. I couldn't give a rat's ass if Lars Sullivan is pounding out Sin Cara or like Lince Dorado or getting pounded out by Drew Gulak. I don't give a rat's ass. Zero, man. I don't care if he's gay, straight, a feminist, a racist. You can be whatever you want. To me, he's just Lars Sullivan, the character on TV. I have zero desire to know anything about his personal life. Now, the question might become, by some of you smart motherfuckers out there, hater, if you don't care, why are you talking about him for what? Now it's been like 10 minutes basically that I'm talking about him, right? I'll tell you why. Because my issue is not with Lars Sullivan. I hope he comes back and has the career he was meant to have, which in my opinion will be a Vladimir Kozlov type guy, right? But my issue is not with him or his lifestyle or the fact that he's a hypocrite by saying homophobic things and turns out he's been in gay porn. My issue is simply with the way that people, and specifically in this case, wrestling fans, and I didn't mean to, but WrestleMania, right? This, whatever the fuck he is, right? I don't know, like, I think I've seen some of his videos, but I don't know much about him, so I can't say, like, the guy with a funny voice or anything like that. But, like, with these people are, like capitalizing on this, right? Like, I have no desire, like, to talk about this beyond the fact that this will end inevitably with the mistreatment of Lars Sullivan, right? At the end of the day, it's a human being, man. And this guy's like, imagine this. Imagine you're Lars Sullivan and you've been hiding, like, let's say he's gay, right? You've been hiding this from, like, your loved ones for years, right? And now everyone knows. This is not an enviable position to be in. Now, I know some people are going to be like, well, he should be proud of sexuality. And my counter question to that is, why should he be proud of it? What is there to be proud of, right? I'm not proud of the fact that I'm straight. I'm just straight. Right? So this idea that he should embrace it or anything like that, no, it's not part of his master status, right? He's like, all right, like, I might be gay, but like, and he might be gay, he might be a homophobe, he might be a lot of things, right? But as a human being, he may not want to be seen that way. I mean, obviously he doesn't want to be seen that way, otherwise this wouldn't come out the way it has, right? So with all that in mind, like, people are victimizing him and they're saying some horrible things about him. Like, they're like, oh, I hope this like ruins his career. It's other things. It's like, dude, like, that's his personal life. That's like, it was a job. Like, he had a job to do, right? And the job was taking him to bed. But it doesn't matter. That's not my business, right? He can do whatever the fuck he wants. I do not judge him, right? But at the same time, motherfuckers, the critical key here is this. At the same time, I don't put him over. I don't give him extra points. Oh, he's gay. Make him WWE champion. It'll be groundbreaking. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a shit if he's gay. I don't want my champion to be gay or straight. I want him to be a good champion, right? Someone entertaining. Not someone like Seth Rollins, motherfuckers. And sure as shit, not someone like Lars Sullivan. Now that we got that out of the way, right, let's get to the heart of this video. And that is my current opinions on AEW, motherfuckers. AEW is 1 foot in the grave. Now, I've been saying a variant of this for a while now. But with new information comes new commentary from the hater, motherfuckers. Here's how it goes. They didn't have an episode last week. So the last thing we remember is that botch fest from the week before, right? Again, I'm sticking by the segment. If it goes somewhere, like but now the fact that they didn't have an episode, like, and we're almost on Wednesday, it's Monday now. The fact that they didn't have an episode just makes it seem like a mistake. It makes it seem as if Dark Order is not going anywhere. It's 2 weeks, motherfuckers. 2 weeks with no, like, storyline updates. It is a horrible way, in hindsight, to end the year and to end essentially your season. What the fuck does that mean? Like, I'm not saying that last week was like the WrestleMania or anything like that. Of course not. But it has elements of that. It has elements of finality, right? It has elements of this is the last show of the year, right? And not only that, we're taking a break. We're taking a 1 week break because it's Christmas in order to show you motherfucks the rest of what we're going to do next year. We're holding it off and we're starting new, basically, right? But if you're going to do that, why would you end the year with like a heel team dominating? Furthermore, if you're going to wait 2 weeks, you should have something earth-shattering happen in your show. Something where I will definitely tune in 2 weeks. Now, New Year's is my favorite holiday after Thanksgiving. So I'm going to be enjoying my New Year's. Now, of course, that's New Year's Eve more so than New Year's Day. So I probably will watch AEW. But I'm only going to watch it because I enjoy making these videos for you motherfucks, right? Beyond that, like, I anticipate AEW getting some of the worst ratings, like probably the worst ratings that they'll ever have. Like, people, it's conceivable that people could forget about AEW if you don't do it every week. People might actually forget they exist. I don't mean forget like, oh, what's AEW? I don't know what that is. But forget to tune in. Like, oh, they didn't have it last week. I watched something else. Let's say like last week someone's like, I watched Survivor. Let's see what's on CBS. Oh, Survivor's not on anymore. Let's watch this game, right? Like, people are fickle. And when you're a new company, you can't afford to do this, man. You can't afford to end the year with this kind of jobber nonsense. Furthermore, let's talk about the AEW product as a whole. You've had 3 months is not a short time, motherfuckers. It's not a short time. 3 months to develop 0 storylines. 3 months to not even develop something like MJF and Cody Rhodes. It's been like a month of that alone. Why would I tune in? Why the fuck would I tune into a show that ended its season, its year basically, right? It ended its season with Jericho versus Jungle Boy Jack Perry, motherfuckers. Why? Why would anyone do that? Why the fuck would anyone want to see if Goldust is going to get revenge on Evil Uno next week? Who gives a fuck about Evil Uno and Goldust? Now, again, I would enjoy the Dark Order if there was something behind it, if something was going to come of that. But nothing's going to come of that, motherfuckers. Nothing. Next week it's going to be like this week's Raw was with Seth Rollins and fucking what's his face? Samoa Joe having the little feud or whatever the fuck they're doing, you know? It's going to come off like that. Why would anyone care about that? Why would anyone be enticed by this? You know, I think I'm going to reserve the rest of my commentary I think I'm going to split this into another video. This might be more about Lars Sullivan than it is about AEW, because I think it's time for the rebooted version of 25 Reasons Why AEW Still Sucks Ass, or whatever I'm going to title it. But the facts are what they are. Now, I don't know any other wrestling news that has come out this week, or maybe I'm just like not, you know, it's not really in my forte right now. It's not in my forte, in my psyche right now. But I don't remember anything else. The only thing that me and my friends talked about was how like Roman Reigns and Shayna Baszler are expected to win the Royal Rumbles, and I'm just like, well, who else could win? It's either Roman Reigns or Daniel Bryan. No one else is positioned in a situation where they could conceivably win. So there you go, you know? I don't know, motherfuckers. I really, really don't know. Wrestling is doing very, very bad. I can't believe I'm saying it, motherfuckers. But somehow, like, just this will go on this video, and probably I'll mention the 25 reasons because it's a very important reason. But the entire gimmick, I'll tell you this. A few years ago, Daniel Bryan was the GM of SmackDown. And while he was the GM of SmackDown, which, by the way, good for him for being a wrestler again, and like people forgetting the fact that he was even gone, right? Like, I like that. While he was GM on SmackDown, he had a vignette or like a backstage moment with Apollo Crews. And this was during the time when Creed came out, or Creed 2 came out, or whatever the fuck it was, probably Creed. And Daniel Bryan, instead of calling Apollo Crews, he fucking called Apollo Crews Apollo Creed, motherfuckers. Do you hear me? He called him Apollo Creed. Now, in my opinion, not that Apollo Crews was going to be this big deal. I mean, I think he's underrated, but he was never going to be a big deal, right? It's just, he doesn't have the charisma. But his entire thing, like the entire tongue-in-cheek, like, gimmick of Apollo Crews is that he's supposed to make you think of Apollo Creed for some reason. And the humor is, his name is not Apollo Creed, motherfuckers. He resembles Terry Crews to some degree with his smile and his, like, natural, like, the appearance of a good face, someone that's like a good dude, right? So they're clearly going between a mix of Apollo Creed and Terry Crews. What do we get from that? Apollo Crews. Now, Daniel Bryan called him Apollo Creed, which to me is the same thing as burying him. Now, he didn't do it on purpose, but nonetheless, right? It's like, dude, you just exposed this guy's entire gimmick, which is, my name is not Apollo Creed. That's his entire character, right? Similarly to that, on a bigger scale, I thought, and I think I speak for a lot of wrestling fans, and I speak for a lot of my good friends, the neckbeards, motherfuckers, when I say this, that when AEW was created, right? If you really think about it in hindsight, a lot of things make sense, right? Somehow in New Japan, people like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks must have had some sort of finger in the pot and some sort of quasi-creative control. Because I remember this happening before AJ Styles went to WWE. Periodically, you'd see like Bullet Club in ROH. That's where they got like Adam Page and these people, right? You'd see them in ROH. And more than a few times, I saw 6-man tag matches with AJ Styles and the Young Cucks versus like 3 people, right? And they even had their own like moves, right? Like they had like AJ Styles holds the guy in the Styles Clash. The Young Bucks do like a double super kick to the guy who's upside down, and Styles hits a Styles Clash, right? They had like triple team moves. So this was like they were going for something, right? They were going to be a team. And once AJ Styles thankfully left New Japan and went to WWE, where he's had some of his best matches ever, not his best matches, but some of his best matches, right? They replaced him with Kenny Omega, both like as the leader of Bullet Club and like kayfabe wise, right? Kayfabe wise, they also replaced him like that, you know? And Kenny Omega took on the role of the 6th man in the 3-man team. I guess the 3rd man. I'm thinking a 6-man tag. So he took AJ Styles' role of the guy that tags with the Young Bucks, which this led to them blowing each other in the back probably, and which led to the forming of the Elite, right? These guys are too weird, man. They're all a bunch of weirdos. So this formed the Elite. Then Cody Rhodes came in the picture, and he joined Bullet Club. And then Adam Page, pretty much all the people that could have a career in WWE, because let's face it, Bad Luck Fale is not getting signed to the WWE, motherfuckers. He's not. You don't need him. He's not like, you don't need him. It's as simple as that, right? So the ones that could one day be signed to WWE formed their own little segmentation of Bullet Club, which eventually became the Elite, right? They got Kota Ibushi in there too. And then like Adam Page and Cody Rhodes joined the Elite. And then they had that whole Bullet Club Civil War thing, which was fucking stupid. Now, the issue with this is this. This was the precursor to these people leaving and forming AEW, motherfuckers. Also known as All Elite Wrestling up in this bitch. Now, I'm not saying that this was their plan all along, but this was seen as a big blow to the Bullet Club, and specifically to, or I guess more broadly, to New Japan Wrestling as a whole. Their number one guy, in many ways, of the year at least, Kenny Omega, and one of their good tag teams who were given a run with the heavyweight tag titles after being junior heavyweights for their entire careers, the Young Bucks. And then Cody Rhodes, who, I mean, I think he sucks, but people like Cody Rhodes, and Adam Page, who I thought was good until he started wrestling in AEW. These people then left. And the implications were, now a lot of people are too stupid to understand implications, but I'll spell it out for any neckbeards that might be listening. The implications were these. That with these people leaving New Japan, they would take away a lot of the mystique, a lot of the what made New Japan good, what made Bullet Club good, which wasn't them at all, but those were the implications, right? And that they would take what they've learned and mastered in New Japan and integrate this with American wrestling to create AEW, right? It was supposed to be like that. Like the smarts were like, New Japan's better than WWE. And then the idea was, let's forget about New Japan because now we have AEW. But whoever the fuck is in charge of booking in New Japan is superior to Kenny Omega and these other retards. This person has now put together in my opinion, one of the best cards in the history of wrestling in Wrestle Kingdom Night 1 and 2. Not because of like Tatsuhiko whatever is wrestling some other guy in the undercard. Who gives a rat's ass? I don't even give a shit about Okada and Naito. I mean, I like Naito, but like, I don't give a shit about who's wrestling. Jay White, this guy's like a jobber. I don't even know why this guy's like even close to the main event. But the facts are what they are. It feels like a big deal. There are big deal things happening. New Japan has successfully shrugged off, right, the AEW stain, if you will. Chris Jericho will be wrestling their like number one, like their ace or whatever, like their John Cena, Hiroshi Tanahashi. And obviously, Jericho is going to lose. So they can set up a rematch and Jericho can beat him in AEW. Once again, ignoring the win-loss records, because the argument will be Tanahashi beat Jericho, so he gets a title shot at AEW Bash at the Beach or something, right? Jericho is going to win that one. Or they might do like a ultimate twist and have Tanahashi win and, you know, part-time for AEW, which will be a horrible idea because no one gives a shit about Tanahashi. But think about what that means. The company that broke off took like the stars, right? You can even argue Jericho is one of the stars because when he joined New Japan, he was a big deal. He was the guy, right? He beat Naito to become the New Japan IC champ. He wrestled against like fucking everybody that matters, right? He wrestled against Kenny Omega. Like, he was a big draw for them. They took Dean Ambrose, who had joined them and became their US champion for a little bit. He's also going to be on the card. And he's probably going to lose, motherfuckers. So, with all this, think about what that means. Think about it. That means that the AEW experiment has failed, motherfuckers. It's failed. It should be the other way around. AEW should be like after 3 months, they should have been planning for an end of the year extravaganza that takes advantage of the fact that New Japan is doing the same thing. January, the beginning of January, because of New Japan in the smart beard community is a big deal. It's a big like wrestling time of the year. They should have taken advantage of this and put on a great card where they have people like Okada coming in and losing to like Adam Page or something. That's what they should have done. But somehow, the superior bookers and the superior businessmen that run New Japan were able to put on an excellent card, right? And AEW has floundered completely. This goes to show, motherfuckers, that before anything else, and this is why Vince McMahon, going back full circle, this is why Vince McMahon is a genius, and he understands way more than Triple H, way more than Cucky Rhodes, way more than Dusty Rhodes, way more than fucking Ted Turner, way more than Eric Bischoff. Vince McMahon is the number one mind in wrestling ever, and here's why. Because wrestling, like every other thing in the world, before it becomes a good product, right, it has to be a good business first. If Disney was not the successful business it is, Frozen wouldn't be what Frozen is. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you think Domino's Pizza and McDonald's make the best pizza and burger respectively? No, motherfuckers, they don't. Okay? You can get a burger at any dive bar that's better than a McDonald's burger. In some places, you can get a burger at a dive for like $4, $3, cheaper than like a Big Mac would be. But it doesn't fucking matter because McDonald's is the superior business. And that's why they're number one. That's why Domino's is number one and it's not your local pizzeria. Do you understand me? It's the same exact philosophy. What happened here was this. A bunch of children, a bunch of mental children like Kenny Omega and the Young Cucks, like the smart ones, the adults of Bullet Club, Gallows, Anderson, AJ Styles, left for WWE. They understood what their capacity is. They're not gonna pretend they're businessmen. Cody Rhodes puts on a suit and a watch and thinks he's Dusty Rhodes. He's not even 1/100th of Dusty Rhodes, let alone anywhere close to Vince McMahon. And they think in New Japan, on the other hand, they have business people, apparently. And they have good bookers. They have people that understand what sells. And that's why they're able to create a likable product, right? That's why the smarts gravitated towards them. Aside from the fact that it was the cool hipster thing to do. They do put on decent shows because a lot of times their shows feel like big deals. They have their announcers. They got a lot of things that make it feel like a big deal. AEW does not feel like a big deal. At this point, it is appropriate to suggest that TNA, which I haven't watched in years, is better than AEW. I've watched some TNA highlights. Their wrestling is just as good, but they have people like Brian Cage, like fucking OVE, which is like a good idea as a gimmick. They're doing things. AEW is doing nothing. AEW itself is not producing anything. All they're doing is taking things from other places, not even repackaging them, and just presenting them to you the same way as they always have been. Like, just think about it. JR, obviously famous for his time in WWE, doesn't know the names of the wrestlers. This shows that JR, in my opinion at least, has zero expectations for AEW. Jericho is focused on selling his champagne. This is ridiculous, man. Meanwhile, New Japan, for years now, and people are like, oh, we don't like Okada anymore. I don't like Okada either. He's fucking Okado from TNA. He's a jobber. But they have done such a good job of making sure that this Okada guy beats every record. He's a young guy, man. He's like in his early 30s. He's going to be around for like 10 more years if he doesn't go anywhere else, right? They've made sure that this guy has broken like the number of title reigns, and like he has the longest individual title reign, longest combined title reign. This guy's like, he's dominating in every category there is. This is how you promote someone as a real star. They want to make a star out of him. WWE doesn't do that anymore because their stars keep leaving. Like the last star WWE made is John Cena. Roman Reigns is going to be on his way out too. Don't think he's not going to go into movies. Yeah, of course he is. Even the people that like aren't stars, like The Miz, like if The Miz could, he would be a Hollywood actor. But he's not. He's a DVD actor. So that's what I'm saying, motherfuckers. AEW has done nothing. All they've done is take Cody Rhodes, and they're like, oh, this is the real Cody. These are the real Young Bucks. Steve Cutler plays Dungeons and Dragons. Isn't that fascinating? No, it's not fascinating. It's fucking stupid. JR doesn't know the names. Jericho's selling champagne, which means he doesn't give a fuck. And he's about to go job. The AEW champion is going to go to Japan to job out to a guy that's not in the main event. Do you understand me, motherfuckers? That's what's going to happen. It is fascinating to me that people still are on this bandwagon. AEW is dead, man. Like, obviously, I'm not saying that like they have zero chance. Like, it is a new year. Maybe with that, they'll get their asses together. But as soon as Dynamite ended last Wednesday, those cuckolds should take that other cuckold, Tony Khan, another child who thinks he's a business person. His dad did everything. He's like, oh, I know what to do. No, you don't. You don't know anything about wrestling. You don't know about what sells. Like, you think that Statlander pretending she's an alien is a good idea. So that's what I'm saying, motherfuckers. They need to go sit in a room, lock themselves in a room, right? And just for 2 weeks straight, do nothing but eat, sleep, and think about how they're going to turn this bullshit around. Because it is atrocious. They are not interesting anymore. You know, people were like, they're a hot, new, refreshing, and different company. They are none of those things anymore. They're not hot. They're not even new anymore. They sure as shit not refreshing. All I'm seeing is the things I saw in WWE 10 years ago, right? And they have no direction. It's over, motherfuckers. It's over. I'm going to enjoy watching this company go downhill like a bitch. And the problem with this company is this. People like Kenny Omega and Young Bucks and Jericho or Adam Page, are either young, relatively speaking, they're young people who could potentially go to WWE still, and who probably would want to once this company starts failing. Or they're people like Chris Jericho, who are gonna go back to the WWE eventually, no doubt about it. They always come back, motherfuckers. They always come back. So think about that for a second. For how long do you think Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, how long can they continue working with AEW and continuing AEW if AEW doesn't provide paychecks for them? They're going to start losing money left and right. How long can they keep doing this? Just the mere fact that their stars are now performing in New Japan shows if you don't have exclusive contracts, if you have people like Kenny Omega performing in AAA in front of 30 people against Phoenix, and you have people like Phoenix performing there too, then you're nothing more than a glorified TNA. At least Lucha Underground had the sense to force their stars to sign exclusivity deals. They got sued for it eventually, but the point still stands, right? They understood that this guy is my guy or my gal, and you shouldn't be able to see this person anywhere that is not me. Anywhere where I'm not taking a cut from this and it is associated entirely with me. TNA's downfall, a lot of people are like, oh, TNA started sucking when Hulk. No, TNA's downfall, their real downfall, came when Bound for Glory, which was their WrestleMania, became a joint production with like Wrestle One promotion, right? That was their downfall. The main event was like the Great Muta and Sanada, who was in that. No, Sanada wasn't with him. It was Great Muta and Tajiri, who had never been in TNA as far as I know, versus James Storm and Sanada. In the only match in the card that had a story. Other matches were like EC3 versus some fat guy. But do you understand what I'm saying? That was the downfall. At that point, you knew. It didn't feel like a big deal anymore. It didn't feel like a Bound for Glory. I remember one year, I forget what it was. It was like one of the matches was like Eric Young versus Hernandez versus like Nash or something like that for the mid-card title, basically. For the the TV title. That Bound for Glory, not because of that match, but for that match and other reasons, that Bound for Glory, I remember, was one of the best cards ever, man. I remember being excited about like 8 of the 9 matches. But then a few years later, Bound for Glory is like a joint production with Wrestle One. This is where AEW is headed, motherfuckers. Watch. It's only a matter of time before AEW starts like bringing in like wrestlers from like bullshit organizations, like CZW or something like that, and have like joint shows. It's over, motherfuckers. It's over. So now I'm going to go and make my other video, which is 25 reasons why AEW sucks a dick, motherfuckers. All right, see ya.